Is off. Is off.
So you run a hotel. Are you constantly worrying about inventory distribution? Have you been wondering how you can generate more revenue? Pesapal by Pesapal offers a comprehensive solution that includes a booking engine, a channel manager, and real-time payment integration. Drive direct bookings to your hotel and earn more revenue. Sell to the right guests at the right time and at the right price through the Pesapal booking engine that's available round the clock to interested guests. Minimize cash handling through Pesapal's payment system. Pesapal's payment system helps you go cashless, thus minimizing the use of cash and issues around embezzlement and fraud. Interested? Log on to www.pesapal.com for more.
Running a restaurant has gotten a whole lot complicated. With Reserve Port integration to Oracle, you can take your restaurant business online. A customer orders and pays on your website. The order is simultaneously posted on both your Oracle Micros point of sale and the kitchen display, and the rider gets a food pickup alert as well. By integrating your restaurant website to Reserve Port by Pesapal, you can offer your customers a flawless takeout experience. What's in it for your restaurant business? No more manual entry for the online order at the cash register, no more mixing up customers' orders, and no more logistics nightmares. To get started, head over to reserveport.com.
What are the benefits of integrating Pesapal Sabi with Oracle Hospitality? Streamlined operations with centralized management, wide variety of payment options, processing multiple transactions at a go, increased security of card data, reconciliation optimization of daily transactions, low risk of funds theft, analytics readily available from powerful reporting tools, next day settlement for card transactions.
I'm on vacation every single day, every single day.
Karibuni to Sarova White Sands Beach Resort and Spa. You know, we have fun and share the fun. That's our job.
There are various packages which people can enjoy.
For guest booking, for entertainment packages, and generally even for stay, one of the options will definitely be through Pesapal.
Pesapal ensures that the guest has already paid you. By the time they're checking in, it's become seamless, fast check-in because every detail has been done. That makes it easier for you to track your payments, linking your bookings to your payments.
Guests come here with their bespoke needs, things to include anniversaries, birthdays.
And we have got all that can take you places when you come here.
You're looking at jet ski as an experience. You're looking at the boat ride where you'd go to the marine park and experience the marine park activities.
We have got 3 main restaurants. One is Lido, where we are now. The other restaurants are basically a la carte and this fine dining.
My favorite entertainment activity would be something in the pool that involves dancing. So there are times we do not Zumba per se, but just dancing. We call it dancing kitchen in the pool.
For hoteliers, a major part of our business is getting to be paid. I would recommend Pesapal because of the ease of doing business.
What more can I say? Karibuni to Sarova White Sands Beach Resort and Spa, where we refresh African hospitality.
My name is Angela. I'm the manager Caffè. Caffè is a French brazier that deals with freshly roasted coffee, fresh pastries, and giving excellent service along the coast.
Every day is a busy day. We call it showtime. Every time we're here for a showtime. It's crazy busy each and every day.
And we try our best to have facilities and equipment that will ease our work. We chose Pesapal because of the prompt response you're getting. From the dashboard, I can get all the details that I want. For instance, if I want to check transactions for the day, I can choose whatever transaction I want to do. I can print out invoices. It's so easy. At a glance, I can see the balance I have in my account. It's easier for me to settle my payments from the Pesapal account to the bank account. Within 24 hours, I can access the money. I really appreciate the platform.
We're trying to target all markets to be able to attract all kinds of people. Yeah, be it someone that wants to have a drink, we have a bar, we have people that come in and take pictures, we have somewhere people can come in and sit for a date. So it's just very generally suited for everyone. We're always very, very dynamic with our menus, so it has to keep changing all the time. The inspiration of our bakery products mostly comes from France. France is best known for its pastries and croissants and cinnamon danishes, and we use 100% butter. We use the best baker's flour in the market.
It's all about good service, good quality in terms of quality service and quality products we're offering to our guests.
If you want to save yourself some headache, if you want that credibility, if you want future reference, it's easier to get that from Pesapal.
All right. All right. I think we are all set. Thank you to the team behind the scenes that's making all this happen. Good afternoon, everyone. I can see people are still logging onto the session. I see people in from Kenya, from the US. So karibuni. If you're on this call, I think we are all set. Thank you to the team behind the scenes that's making all this happen. Good afternoon, everyone. I can see people are still logging onto the session. Just give us a few minutes as we sort out the technical issues. If you're on this call, I think we're all set. All right, sorry about that. I think we're all set now. I think to the speakers on the screen, if everything's going okay, just give me a wave. Great. All right. Thank you everyone for logging on this afternoon. We're very excited to welcome you to this afternoon's Lunch and Learn series, Karibuni. My name is Wanjeri Mahiti, and for those who have interacted with me the last 10 years, know that it has been my honor and privilege to be spearheading a team that was tasked with the job of building a brand from scratch, a brand that you have all come to love, that's based in Naivasha. I've been responsible for sales and marketing at Enashipai Resort and Spa. So today I'll be your host. All right, so what is this Lunch and Learn series all about? The Lunch and Learn webinar series is an initiative by Pesapal targeting professionals in the tourism and hospitality industry. The aim of this session, this is just the beginning of a couple of sessions that we'll be running. The aim of this session is to connect individuals, to share learning, and just basically to transfer knowledge. So it's a session for people to get together and just learn from each other. So Karibuni, and all those who have logged in, we really thank you for taking time. So good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're logging in from, right? From my screen, I see it is 1:05, and because we are Kenyans, and this is the land of Eliud Kipchoge, we shall keep time and get started. Yeah? Today's topic is the trends, challenges, and opportunities in the hospitality industry. So many of you might be wondering why we picked this topic. If you're living in the same world I am living in, and you have all been victims of the COVID-19 pandemic, I think the last 18 months have been quite a challenging season. Challenging for most people, but more especially challenging for the people in the hospitality industry. I think for the industry that is so dependent on travel, on movement of people, on the warm hospitality of people, the last 18 months have been quite a challenge, right? We've seen serious travel restrictions, lockdowns, social distancing. I mean, in the hospitality industry, social distancing, restrictions, those are not things that are akin with an industry like ours. We are a high-touch industry, high-smile industry. So when you cover us with masks, this has been a real challenge. Other challenges I think that we faced in this industry just been the job losses, the loss of value chains, farmers, not just the hoteliers, the travel industry. So I think the last 18 months have been quite a challenge for this particular industry. And we thought this might be a good time to just sit back, reflect, and just take a few learnings from what we've learned. Thankfully, with vaccinations, travel restrictions are being lifted, people are beginning to move. And I don't know about you, but from where I sit, people are seeing a lot of, a sort of return to normalcy, and that's very encouraging. So today's conversation will be looking at some of the trends in the industry, some of the opportunities that we think the people who are logged on this call should be thinking about and taking advantage of, and maybe just to share some of the challenges that have run. So I'll not be the key conversationalist today. Today we're having a conversation with four amazing speakers, four speakers who I've had the privilege of working with, talking to over the years. So it's been quite exciting, and I'm very excited to be introducing them to you. Allow me to start with the odd one out, Mark Morgela. Mark, say hello to the viewers. Karibu. Mark Morgela is currently the CEO at Pesapal. He's been the CEO here at Pesapal since 2018. Now, Mark is a typical, is not your typical techie, and he can be tasked with, he's been the one responsible for getting Pesapal to where it is today. And congratulations, Mark. This year, I saw that you did Pesapal. Got a license from the Central Bank of Kenya, and you were given an accolade as a payment service provider. Welcome to the call.
Thank you. Thank
you. To my right, I don't know if this is the same right yours, but to my right, I can see I have Lucy. Lucy McCreedis is a career professional. She's been in the industry for over 30 years. Lucy, I can't believe it's been 30 years.
Yes, 30 years and counting.
Yeah. So Lucy has been in the industry, and she's worked in the hotels, various hotels. But currently, she was a founding member for the Kenya Association of Women in Tourism, and she is currently the lead coach at a consultancy, LMC Consultancy. Welcome, Lucy.
Thank you, Wanjeri. Great to be here.
All right. My bottom left, I have Aja Shah. Aja, welcome to the call. Aja is currently the Deputy General Manager at Tribe and Trademark Hotels. Aja is a fresh voice to the industry. I think the only millennial we have on this conversation today. So welcome, Aja. Aja has worked internationally, so she brings to the table a great and a fresh mix of both local and international experience. She's had the opportunity to work with the big chains, but also smaller boutique hotels. So it will be exciting to hear Aja's perspective today. And last but not least, we have Anne Peggy. Anne, Karibu. Anne is another seasoned hotelier. Anne began her career in the industry 20 years ago. You know, some of these numbers, when I say 20, 30, I just can't believe, people have been working, we've got the value of getting the experience of all these people. But what's exciting about Anne is that she's risen the ranks. Anne started her career, if you know her story. Anne started her career as a waitress, and she's now the general manager at Pride in Paradise. Actually, Anne, you're the first female GM of a five-star hotel. So congratulations for that. And in 2020, Anne was voted by CEO Global as one of the most influential women in tourism. So as you can see, we have an exciting lineup of speakers, and we're looking forward to hearing your perspective. Everybody on the call, Karibuni, if you can just leave us a message and tell us where you're logging in from. We're looking forward to hearing from you. If you have questions, please feel free to put in some of your questions in the comment section at the bottom. All right, so without much further ado, allow me to get straight into the conversation and start with the conversations. So, our speakers, COVID-19, right? For very many people, COVID-19 was a real shock to the system. Yeah. So I'd like to hear from each and every one of you what this meant for you, what this meant for your business. Was it a roller coaster? What was that feeling about? Just walk us through your personal experience of what COVID-19 has been, and maybe we can start with you, Aja.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be here today. Yeah, COVID-19. I think it's been the greatest roller coaster in my career so far. When it started, we didn't know how long it would take, how long it would last. I remember thinking the first time we went into lockdown that we'll be back to normal in less than a month. We're unable to predict, to do any type of forecasting now. It's been its own version of a nightmare and a blessing in disguise. The first time in my lifetime, we've had unknown challenges, and everyone was taking it in a different way. Everyone was guessing how to move forward, how to watch what anyone else was doing. If someone was successful running a campaign, then every other company would be on that campaign. I think the biggest effect that COVID-19 has had on us is also just employees and employers. It's been such a challenge. I know here at Tribe and Trademark, we did quite a unique model where we did a variable pay model where everyone got paid based on the revenue made with a base. And we're still running on that model today, which means nobody's on full salary, but it's helped us make sure that not one person had to be made redundant or be fired or anything like that. Um, it's affected the way we do meetings, what our clients look like. It's changed our business mix. So we have more Kenyan clientele. How we're doing meetings are more hybrid with video conferencing. Even just the generic requirements have changed. We were talking about it this morning about the environmental aspect of everything that we're doing and trying to become more environmentally friendly. But it becomes difficult when everybody needs individual sanitizer bottles, everybody needs individual water bottles, everybody needs a disposable mask. So I think COVID-19 has definitely impacted us in a way that we couldn't even expect it in the long run.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that, Aja. Anne, you're also in the hotel industry. How has this been on the Mombasa side of things?
Well, thank you so much, Wajiri. What a joy to be part of this. COVID-19 has been a roller coaster of many things for us. Like I just said, we never quite visualized a time when we will shut doors and go home and not know when we are coming back. And that again came with its own lessons to business owners, to us managers, to staff alike. We've seen quite a lot change, take a paradigm shift in the way we managed hotels, in the way we looked at our costs. It has changed the behavioral characteristics of the guests. And in a nutshell, I think we are wiser than we were before COVID-19. It came with its own lessons. We certainly looked at our business model, how to mitigate the additional cost of sanitizers, the high demand for hygiene and safety facilities in the resort, and also how to manage costs in the wake of increased expenses spent per person. And I think for me, what is more important is to note that COVID-19, post-COVID-19, we are running more efficient businesses, having in mind that, today you have it, tomorrow you may not have it. But it's also exciting to see how the picker factor has turned out to be, how resilient the Kenyan market is, how resilient the Kenyan people are, and how well now, like the Mombasa hotels are picking up quite very well. So I think it's been quite a lesson, even to our guests as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you for those comments, the people who are directly in the industry. Maybe we can hear from Lucy, who's on a different spectrum. Lucy is running a coaching consultancy. So maybe, Lucy, just walk us through what COVID-19 has meant for you and your business.
A very good afternoon, everybody. Great to be here and part of this conversation on trends, challenges, and opportunities. COVID, once it came in and hit everybody, we had to repurpose. So first and foremost, my core mandate is in consultancy in the hospitality industry. And therefore, I would come to your outfit and help you with your sales and marketing. I would come in and help you with your training and mentorship and with your coaching. And this is exactly what I was doing. In fact, I was launching a space when COVID hit. And suddenly what I had came to a grounding halt. It was literally moving from day to night. Within hours, the doors had shut. It was to go back home. It was at that moment then that I realized that in repurposing what I needed to do, I had to go back inside and figure out, what do I have? There's something I have, and what can I use that as a stepping block, as a platform, so to speak, to continue being alive? Because just like Arja said, we thought it was going to happen and end within a month, but this never happened. And that extension went into all the aspects of business, where the face-to-face died off, so all my training disappeared, where the consultancy, in fact, those are line entries that are removed by business owners. They don't want to hear about consultancy, hear about training. So we are the guys who, that line entry was just removed. So there was an option here for me, guys. I could sit home and be the victim, or I could look for the opportunities. And that's what I did. What I already had was in my area of expertise. Expertise was speaking to people and coaching people and mentoring people. And this is when I just stepped into the coaching world. And there I found that people were struggling with loss, just struggling with loss, whether it was loss of jobs, loss of livelihood, whether it was loss of direction. So there was a need, there was a hunger out there for coaching to be able to guide somebody. But I needed to start with myself first, because it was pointless going out there to be a word of motivation, inspiration, and to hold somebody's hand, to be accountable with them. And yet I was not in that space. So yes, COVID for me, and I will pick again Arja's words, it was a blessing in disguise. And I was able to repurpose.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that. I think there's always, the silver linings. So I think it all depends on someone's attitude, right? We are where we are at. We can't change the situation, but what can we do with what we have? So thanks for sharing that, Lucy. And it's exciting to hear that, out of this entire crisis, you found your passion and you managed to do something exciting with what you can do. And I think a lot of the people who will be seeking out your coaching services will just be the better for it. So over to you, Mark. Mark, you're a service provider in the industry. A big part of your business is about providing payment services to people in the industry, not just in the hotel industry, in retail, in that works in the restaurant space. Large part of your business is the hospitality industry. So just walk us through what this meant for your business, what it meant for you personally and what it meant for your business.
It's on mute. Mark is on mute.
Mark, we may need to unmute Mark. Somebody, thank you.
Welcome to these days of Zoom where the most important thing you need to do is unmute your mic.
Yes.
Right? So what I was saying is that we kind of saw both worlds. We were privileged to sit in a place where, on one side, a lot of the businesses that we've been working with for a long time, the hotels, the restaurants, and in the hospitality industry were really affected. A lot of businesses had to get to a point where they closed down or they reduced the number of staff that are there. I think you had Aja talk about some of those challenges. You had Anne mention that. But on the other side, we were privileged to sit in a place where you start seeing what technology can do in such a situation, and just looking at how hotels and restaurants were able to use technology and digitize their businesses, look at channels that were previously just an additional channel as a primary channel was a pretty interesting place for us to sit. It's always exciting for us because as a provider of digital payments in hospitality industry, just being able to contribute to the growth of businesses in whichever way they choose to grow, and being able to work with businesses who want to digitize the operations, whether it's at their sales, at their marketing, and whatever channel they want to use so that they can enable payment. It's an exciting journey for us. So we choose to stick on the positive side, on the positive effect that the pandemic has on hospitality businesses. And, having these conversations as today is always something for us that is exciting. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for sharing that. I think what I'm just hearing from all the speakers is, yes, COVID was, like a mega challenge, but it was also a good time for people to sit back and reflect. Yeah. If I just hear what some of the speakers had said is that, it has completely changed the way we do our business. It didn't matter what kind of business we're in, whether you're on the technology side of things, whether you're the one running the hotel. It didn't matter whether you're the one in the coaching industry. I don't think anyone is doing business today in 2021 October the same way they were doing their business in April 2020. Yeah. So I think the lesson here is we had to have changed some things. We hope people learned from the challenges that COVID presented to them. And let's just hear from a few of the speakers here is, yes, COVID came, we stopped, we were shocked, we closed our businesses, some of us. We came back to work and we had to sit and rethink what we were going to do differently. So Aja, I heard you saying that, you had to change some things. The way you're doing your meetings is completely different now compared to what you were doing before. So maybe just walk us through some of the trends that you see that will change post-COVID. What do you see changing? What do you think was a temporary change that we are probably just doing this because we are in this season? But what do you see will continue to ride through the next of the decade? What sort of trends do you see coming through post-COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a hotel, we've just seen so many through restaurants, hotel, meeting and events, and the spa. But I think the biggest one I have to say is meeting and events. We've seen people need to use more open spaces. So before, when you ask somebody, do you want to have a boardroom in the garden? They'd look at you like you're mad. Like, why would I ever go to the garden to do my meeting? But now we have more and more clients being, we want open space, we need fresh air, we can't be in a meeting room without any windows whatsoever. And that's huge. I think the other one is to make sure that we're always providing masks and sanitizers, and you need to constantly be fumigating and cleaning. So even in between breakfast, lunch, tea breaks, when people leave the room, you're trying to make sure that everything is sanitized, cleaned, just to make sure that you're not helping an outbreak happen or anything like that. It's yeah, it's tough, especially when the hotel is following protocol. But attendees always need to be aware and be responsible in these events, which they not always are. With our restaurants, I think that was actually one of the biggest blessings we've had. We've always had a huge expat following, but in COVID, it's not that we changed anything, it's just that our restaurants were open and we had more and more Kenyans try it. They've actually, one of the biggest reasons we've survived this period. We're lucky that ever since restaurants have been open, we've been full. And yes, you can fit less capacity, but we're also lucky that we have outdoor space. We have terraces, we have places that make people really, really comfortable to be in. We're also seeing that just the generic style of traveler has changed. Now, people do want to meet, but they meet in smaller groups. They want it to be more of an experience. So they don't care about cookie cutter experiences anymore. Everything needs to be customized. Everything needs to be really well thought out about who somebody is and how we're making them feel as they walk through the door. I think before we lost a little bit of sight because of how busy Kenya and Nairobi in specific was. Nairobi was the conferencing hub for Africa. Every hotel was full every single week of the year. And we had to go back and say, what are we giving in return to our guests? In our spa, we see that I think from last year that there are people with Zoom fatigue. They're just fatigued about being in their house. They're fatigued about being with their kids all day because nobody's going to school. There's so much fatigue and so much mental stress happening that we've seen people come in for all sorts of programs of weight loss because they did nothing for a couple of months and they've put on their weight. And we know 40% of people put on weight in COVID. They've come in literally for mental stress and just to do something fun with their girlfriend. So every week now it's become a date to make sure you have your massage, your mani pedi with a glass of champagne, and make sure you're actually doing something for yourself. We've seen people come in even for smaller things. So we've seen that people want to make sure that their immune systems are more and more stronger. So they're coming into Kaya for immunity booster programs. They're coming in for natural postnatal and prenatal care. Stuff that before you'd pump in medicine into your body, they now want to use a natural route just to make sure that their bodies are stronger if this ever seems to happen again. So our trends have definitely changed. I think the greatest and best thing that's probably happened in COVID is a lot of Kenyan experiences were only for international clients. Most Kenyans had never been to the Mara, had never really been to the coast unless you lived there. And for the first time, every single, even in my own staff, are talking about how they went to the Mara for the first time and got to see what every one of our guests is talking about. And we've created a brand new set of clientele, which is our staycations. And it's wonderful because there wasn't that much domestic tourism before. And now Kenya has become affordable to all.
Okay. All right. Thanks for sharing that, Aja. I heard you talking about clients looking forward to being more outdoor and wanting more outdoor spaces. Anne, you have no challenge with outdoor spaces being located by the beach. How do you find the experiences change for your guests during this season? And what do you think will
Well,
be something that will change throughout?
we stand on very expansive gardens, over 17 acres of land with a huge beachfront. And yes, we've had guests who prefer to have outdoor sessions. And we have a huge convention center, 2,500 capacity. So we haven't had challenges per se with social distancing. But what is important to mention, like I just said, is that COVID gave us, the COVID session, the lockdown gave us time to innovate. I have a very young, dynamic, passionate, futuristic boss. And so we sat in a room and we were able to come up with an option of having meetings, half of the people in the room and people scattered all over in Nairobi, Kampala, Rwanda, outside the country. So we came up with a rev meet option where you can have a meeting of 300 people, but you only have 100 on site. The rest of the people are joining from different places. So looking at the brighter side of things, and breakaway sessions out in the gardens, sometimes you can even, without placing a tent people with round chairs having the breeze of the ocean, and people have come to embrace that particular element. Even evening cocktails by the beachside, people now prefer the fresh air, outdoor meetings, and these are taken a major paradigm shift. And of course, like Aja has said, what COVID has made for the behavioral changes in the customer. When we were locked down, one of the things we've observed, people never thought a time can come when everything is locked up. So I think people have become now better well-traveled, people have become more indulging, people have become more engaged and more aware that you need to go out and travel. And we've seen major growth in domestic tourism more than ever, because also we came up with very flexible packages where people can afford. We also came up with flexi paying options for domestic tourists, and that has changed how people looked at holidays. That has changed how people travel and how people have patterns. People initially we used to depend on the international clients, but the domestic market has become a major market. And for us, we are a big family hotel, big in children market with the water park, the aqua park safari, and children are coming in their numbers, and the spacing, the outdoor, the need for outdoor events is more embraced now than ever.
Okay. All right. Thanks for sharing your experiences. I think what I'm hearing from the two speakers directly in the hotel industry is a greater appreciation for the domestic market. Yeah. So I think if there's anything anyone has learned in this season is just be happy with the one who's close to you, serve this person who's close to you. And if you're able to meet their needs, then it will be easier to just meet the needs for everybody else. So I think a greater appreciation for the domestic market is just something that came through during this season, especially when people were unable to cross to move across borders. So if there's anyone else on this, if there are people on this call who are always constantly looking for international experiences, I would urge you to just focus on the local market as well. There's just a lot to offer. There's just been so much changes that people have made within their hotels, within the industry. There are exciting experiences out there. So we don't always have to be traveling across borders to experience great things. I think another thing which I've heard quite clearly is that customers don't want cookie cutter experiences anymore. Right? So that is no longer a thing. People have got to think a little differently and just be a bit more flexible to hear what the clients are looking for so that you can then be able to customize experiences and offer exciting things. And certainly the issue around being more outdoor. I don't think there's nothing people would be doing right now that doesn't involve something outdoor. So if you've got the luxury of having outdoor spaces, we have lovely weather this side of the world, please take advantage of that. Someone mentioned something about the COVID season and how, obviously people were sitting at home. There was the weight issues. There was just people feeling dejected and feeling like this world has come to an end. So I think there's no other season, I think, where conversations around mental health have been such a big conversation. So Lucy, given that you're on the side of helping people, actually I can see your name on the screen today is Clarity Coach Lucy. What opportunities and what trends do you see coming through post-COVID with regard to the coaching season and people just being more self-aware and asking for help? How do you see that changing the coaching industry?
Thank you for that question. Very valid about the trends and the opportunities that come as a result. The first trend that we see is online. We are doing it right now. We are online. Who would have thought that this is where we would come together as thought leaders to share and be able to speak with people, and that would actually have an audience coming to listen? Who would have thought that this day would have come? So when we are looking at the trends that have come as a result of COVID, this is one of them, and we just want to know how to step into it. However, as we are stepping into these trends, there are certain realities that have come to the fore. And you've mentioned one, which is the mental wellness. All this mental wellness was there, but it was never seen. It's very different, Wanjeri, from physical wellness. Because with physical wellness, I'll look at you and I'll kind of make a judgment because I can see it is tangible. But when it comes to mental, it's not tangible. It can't be seen except in behavior. Again, that's all in perspective, what that behavior means to me or what it means to you. But the trends that have happened so far now have brought this to the fore, that we are able to see how people are reacting to the situation. And just like we said in the beginning, COVID happened to all of us and we all reacted. What we did not mention was that nobody had a manual. Hoteliers are like tour operators, everybody in hospitality and tourism. You have got your business plans, you've got your crisis management plans, you've got your business continuity plans. I mean, you're all set. And like Wanjeri, I'd imagine behind you there would be files where if something was to happen, you would just pull out a file. But COVID pandemic did not come with all those manuals. So the biggest area that was hit was our mental area. And so the wellness came to the fore. We were all taken back home to a point where we were now facing each other. We had no jobs, we had uncertainty going on, we had lost our positions in society, and therefore we had to go back and see who we are. And most of us could not handle it well. And therefore, the mental wellness now began to plummet. And you know the statistics that started floating immediately when we had violence going on, domestic violence in the homes. This actually increased to suicide. And all this comes from the case of the mental wellness. So, as coaches now, there's no opportunity to have these conversations. And I don't know whether you're privy to this online, Wanjeri, but you will find that the minute you type in a question about mental wellness, there's a retargeting in the marketing world now. Information and messages start to follow you. And you start to see that this world of mental wellness is really huge. And it comes down to one thing: self awareness. Who are you? What is your purpose in life? Do you have a compelling reason, purpose, aim, goal? Are you motivated to wake up every day and move? Are you in a creator mode? Are you in a victim mode? In one of my trainings, I talk about COVID happened to all of us. You have got three options. You can either be a creator, take what has happened, look at the opportunities and run with it. You can be a victim and say, oh, this has happened to me. Or you can stand still. I call it the freeze mode. You can stand still, stick your head in the sand, and hope that it will all go away. So there's those three areas that you can look at. The choice is yours. Of course, we want you to be a creator, mental wellness. Important to have a look at it. I know your question was very specific about that one, Jerry. Thank you so much. You are on mute.
Sorry about that. Mark, like you said, this mute and unmute is clearly
that's
going
the
to
most
be
important function whenever you're doing a webinar. You've got to be quick on unmute.
This is what will define the next century. Unmute your mic, mute your mic. You know. But anyway, I mean, I really agree with you, Lucy. The areas of mental health were really big. And I think the fact that people could not refer to a manual that says, you know, in case of this, you know, do this, pick up the phone, and you know, there seasons, maybe I'd call her and say, hey, what's happening in Tribe? What are people doing about this? And then for like, even us, we don't know what we're going to be doing about this, yeah? So I think this season also got people into a season of self-doubt where people were just, you know, just trying. It was almost, let's try this, let's see if this works, if this works. So it was a season where I think, if anything, it just brought out who we are as individuals, and you could see that flight or fight mode, right? So I think if anything, there's no other season I've had people talking about coaching more than I've heard about it in this particular season. Mark, we don't want to leave you out of this
Jerry,
conversation.
Jerry,
Sorry?
before we jump to Mark, if I could just add something there. You can imagine in that situation that Arja and Anne found themselves in. They are already struggling as a leader because they need to lead the pack. It is assumed that you have the answers. Remember, you have no manuals. And everybody is looking at you to move. And there is Arja and there is Anne having to deal with their personal reality, the aha moment. Do I have something for tomorrow? And not knowing where to go. And my message is, Wanjeri, it's okay to ask for help. Thank you.
Back to the mute and unmute. I'm sorry. Thank you for the quick reminder that people need to ask for help. And I think personally for me in this season, it has been an exciting season to just see that if you're part of a network, right, try and find professional networks that you can find yourself attached to. Because a lot of the things that people are dealing with, these situations are not unique to you. So plug into the professional networks, plug into social networks, so that then you can have time to share with them, share with your colleagues, share with your friends. And this goes for the gentlemen on the call as well. It's not just the ladies who need to be plugging into the networks. Mark, I wanted to just find out from you about what happened and what trends you have seen coming through as a result of COVID. Obviously, some of the people who you were supporting had closed their businesses, and this, sort of saw some of your revenue lines close to zero. But what else did you see coming through as a result of this pandemic? Did you see people taking the digital conversation more seriously? Were people who had ignored your calls previously now picking up the calls and saying, I need X, I need Y? Tell us about that.
I think what I want to appreciate, actually, what discussion I really want to appreciate from what Lucy, Anne, and Arja have said is just the effect that the pandemic had on the person. And I think a lot of times when we have the discussions about business and the effect on business, we easily forget, the business is made up of people. And I really appreciate what everyone has seen. If I go into a little bit into what we've seen with technology, when a lot of people found themselves at home, as Ajay is saying, is a lot of people were looking for an opportunity for them to travel. So anytime that restrictions were reduced in any way and people were able to travel, they were busy looking for a way to travel. And having stayed at home for so long, a natural way to find a business is to literally go online. You start finding that business. And so there was a lot of value for businesses that had spent time building an online profile, an online channel, a digital way that customers can engage with you. And in some cases, if you take what happened to the restaurants in a lot of the markets, is the governments and through their Ministry of Health were actually specifying cases where you're not allowed to bring customers into your restaurant, but you can deliver. And so you now have to, are forced to look at technology as a way for you to, to run your business. So we saw a lot of new opportunities come out for hospitality businesses, for restaurants to deliver to their customers at homes, for customers to have a fast experience. I'm sure a lot of people on the call probably ordered food online for the first time, just being able to do something that you've not done before in an online context. And so we saw a lot of adoption of a digital channel as a way to do sales. So that was an interesting trend for us. One of the things that Anne and Aja have said is a lot of hotels were required to actually ensure the customers have a level of safety as they're coming to the properties. And so just being able to see how technology plays a part in that process. If you're a restaurant, you've probably never interacted with a QR code before, and now you have this QR code that people come to scan and access a menu digitally, while previously you had to produce a physical copy. So already restrictions, opened up opportunities. Some directives needed the businesses to actually adopt technology. And because of that, the whole sector around payments and where we sit as Pesapal, we saw a lot of growth in customers who had probably were okay using cash before walking to a premise, and they actually want to use a digital payment option, whether that's mobile money, whether that's Visa or MasterCard. You're able to businesses that provided customers that simplicity in being able to do a digital payment really harnessed that opportunity. That's some of the things that we've seen around changes in technology. But I'd really like to hear from Aja and from Anne what was really the direct effect on the ground. What did that look like as far as adopting technology and using technology to be able to learn from the pandemic? I'd really like to hear the thoughts on that.
And maybe you can pick up on that question as to how did technology impact your business during this season? Unmute.
Okay. Sorry. But all right, there we are. I think that the whole contactless issue of giving a client a QR code to scan a menu and they don't even know how to go about it. Or, why can't I have a physical menu? Don't you have one printed? And you have to explain it's a requirement by MOH not to have, physical menus. I think it was so drama initially and quite a paradigm shift, and getting to remove all the brochures from the rooms and make sure your DOS is on a QR code. It was all really a shocker to some of the clients who are not quite tech savvy. But for tech savvy ones, it was all okay. But it was a total paradigm shift to the traditional ways that we ran hotels before this whole COVID and the demand for the use of technology. But looking at the positive side of things, I think that a great deal has helped. I sent more quotations on WhatsApp than I did ever before. It was email mostly. People are, technology has helped a lot. People just want anything instant. We have events. There's all of Instagram and things moving. And I think over time now we are embracing technology as a value add to our business more than ever before. And the client is as well becoming more tech savvy, because over time, then people know everything is QR coded. You fly jumbo jet, you have to fill that QR code for MOH. You come to hotels, you have to scan a menu. You get to the hotel, you have to scan the DOS to know your way around. So I think that is changing, and people are embracing that a lot more than where we started. So I think it's a good change for all of us. Looking at the positive side of things, technology is adding great value, and for the departments that are supposed to use technology to advance sales, I think it's all working very well. Somebody is booking a room, they tell you, please send me how the room looks. I want to see it on WhatsApp. Take a small video, give me a tour of the room. All that is making it very, very easy, and everything just paying online, no sending paper. It's all very, very efficient, and we rejoice in the change that has come with all this.
Jerry on mute.
Indeed, so much change in how we're doing work and how our things have changed. Ajay, you're on the front line side of things. Has this changed the way you deal with your customers? How have you used technology to interact with your guests?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're quite a tech-savvy hotel where we have literally the top of the line technology in all of our spaces. But what we've realized is we've implemented all these new apps so you can interact with your guests more, with your staff more, and people just are. They have app fatigue. I guess that's what it is. They have too many things that they've downloaded on their phones, and they're not using every single app. Every loyalty reward card, you have to download an app. Everything you interact with, you have to download an app. So we decided to embrace technology in a slightly different manner. with all of our tour and tourism operators. We created a group chat with all of their employees and all of our reservations agents. So you don't, if you want to find it out, you don't need to send an email and wait for a response. You can get a response in the minute at any given time. Whether it's the middle of the night, there will always be somebody on shift. Something that was actually quite interesting that we did as a hotel was during quarantine. So I think most people here know that Trademark was a quarantine hotel last March. We had 9,500 rooms sitting in their rooms for 14 days in quarantine. I don't think anybody understood how difficult that could be, even on somebody's mental state. And what we decided to do was call up every single room on the first or second day they checked in and ask them if they wanted to be added to a hotel WhatsApp group, which actually 95% of our clients were like, sure, it's an easy way to communicate. And we played games on that group. So we would have like a puzzle, and the first person in their room who would answer it correctly would send up a cupcake, and we interacted with our guests that way. In quarantine, I think that actually set us apart from all the other hotels. And it was a very simple it's a platform that we use every single day. We just happened to embrace it in a slightly different manner than anybody else did. And we continuously look for these different types of solutions. So in any group that even comes in, we set up WhatsApp groups now. It's completely optional if you want to be in it or not, but it's something that we do, and lots of people opt for it because they find it a faster mode of communication.
Absolutely. I think the other day when WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram are down was just one of those moments when you realize you are so reliant on these platforms. I think for me, some of the things which still blow my mind today is how people want to send you even their IDs on Facebook. Here's their reservation. They don't want to leave a certain platform. So with partners like Pesapal, who just enable payments to happen at every channel, is if we are having this conversation here, are you ready to book and pay? Then that happens on that channel and the conversation completes. So I think it's a great thing to be connected to all this technology, and it's not always a bad thing because it has helped us in the world of work. It has helped us change the way we interact with guests and just, I think, increased opportunities. So ladies and gentlemen, allow us to take a 2-minute break so that we can get a chance to just collate some of the questions. And then we'll be back in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Running a restaurant has gotten a whole lot complicated. With Reserve Port integration to Oracle, you can take your restaurant business online. A customer orders and pays on your website. The order is simultaneously posted on both your Oracle Micros point of sale and the kitchen display, and the rider gets a food pickup alert as well. By integrating your restaurant website to Reserve Port by Pesapal, you can offer your customers a flawless takeout experience. What's in it for your restaurant business? No more manual entry for the online order at the cash register, no more mixing up customers' orders, and no more logistics nightmares. To get started, head over to reserveport.com.
All right, welcome back, and thanks for taking that break with us. Hope you got a chance to swallow the lunch that you're having. All right, moving on swiftly. We've all heard about how technology has influenced the way we are dealing with our customers, but more importantly, it has influenced the way we work, right? So I think lately it's just okay to tell a client is that, can we just have this Zoom call? A lot of trade shows that people would have to travel miles, be away from work for like 10 days because you have to travel across the country, across the world to meet some of your clients. So much has changed with the way technology is helping us work. Now, there's been this big conversation that was there pre-COVID. It was a big question around the millennials. And how we were working with the millennials and how we were dealing with this. So love them, hate them, they're people we have to work with, right? So I think during this COVID season, the fact that everyone has got to just up their technology game, whether you like it or not. People who have been in the industry like Lucy for 30 years are now handling conversations every week on Zoom, having sessions online. People have really had to adapt their game. So for the people who are managing teams here today, I think actually each and every one of you is handling teams. It's inevitable that you're going to be dealing with some of the millennials. Maybe just walk us through some of your experiences in handling the millennials and whether this season has made it easier or harder to work with them and what you're doing about it. Maybe we start with Anne. Let me see, Anne, you've got quite a diverse team of people. You're handling a whole group of staff, easily over 300 people. I can only imagine the diversity you have on your team. So maybe just walk us through what your experience has been handling the millennials and whether this season has been easier or tougher for you.
You need to unmute, Becky.
Thank you, Mark. Oh my God. Well, Angeli, good question. And, for me, I've come up the ranks. I've been every step of the way over the years, quite adaptable, quite flexible. And dealing with millennials for me has been a mix of both, learning from them, trying to go down and be one, and trying to bring them up to who I am. And it's been a mixture of all that. And I think it's been tougher for them. As we grew up in the industry, we knew flexibility, we knew adaptability, we knew how to change with the times. The millennials are quite spontaneous. It's a what is in it for me generation. They are people who, again, unlike us, we came up with through the ranks, we knew the passion of working throughout and sometimes not demanding compensation. But the millennials want every minute to know what is in it for them. They are result oriented. They want to be led by somebody who is going to generate results because they are looking at the end of the day, do I have a bonus? At the end of the day, this pay cut, when are we going to meet our targets? Are we on pay cut this month? What are you doing to make sure that we are not on pay cut? And I think the drastic changes that we had to make post-COVID, to adjust manning levels, to match them with business levels, to let people know you can't work throughout the month, work for 10 days and 10 days stay at home, or it's not important for you to be, and they want to know why me and now why not you. And I think for me that has been quite dramatic at some point. And the other thing that I was thinking about when I was just evaluating how managing people more effectively has changed over times. The millennials are people leaving college with degrees, diplomas, and if somebody was doing management, they want to be a manager the following day. And when Jerry and the team, any over inflated tire will burst. But if a tire gets the right inflation and it goes down, you can inflate it again. And I think a lot contributes to what Lucy is talking about, mental health. When you have somebody busted because they've taken too much pressure than they can, repairing that person takes more time than where, somebody has the right pressure and it's just deflated like a tire. You can burst or get deflated. So one of the things for me that I think is a disadvantage is the desire for balloon success. That, I have this qualification, I have this degree, I have the theory part of the interview. I sit in a table, I pass the interview, but I come on ground practically and I fail because I have the theoretical knowledge, but I don't have the steady, deep-rooted knowledge of the practical that I am supposed to come and deliver on the ground. So a lot of the mental health issues that we are dealing, and Lucy will agree with me, people have taken more than they can chew, and when they get on the ground, then they burst like that over inflated tire. So the steady, the slow, the sure growth is a sure way of making sure that you don't take a role eventually that will your mental transformation will betray you at some point, and you will have to, instead of getting deflated, you'll have to burst and drop and get subjected to mental health. So there's need for people to desire to grow so that they take roles that they are capable of delivering on the ground, because you can pass an interview with flying colors, you go on the ground and you can't deliver. And that is what is causing a lot of heartbreaks in the industry. And when people are looking for, like now, when you look at post-COVID, initially when we began reopening the hotels, we were working fewer numbers. We were looking for the staff who can multitask. We were looking for people who can do one more than Soro. People who have a stronger resilience on the floor. The millennials don't. Majority of the millennials don't have that resilience. So there's need for people to learn how important it is to have a steady, strong growth. So then you have a firm foundation and you can stand the test of time.
Aja, as a millennial yourself, do you agree with the statements around the here, I want this, here, now? Always being ready to take on any task. What's your reaction to that, and how the people who've been here longer should be responding to millennials like you?
No, I mean, I'm at the end of my millennial age, but I can agree to disagree. So I do agree with certain points that Anne has said. It's hard to engage millennials. They've come from a different time. I'm a hybrid, so I'm in that year that's considered Z and millennial. So I kind of understand both perspectives. It's hard to engage them because I think, and this is one thing, and that's why there's so many trainings on how to deal with millennials, is they all work for a purpose. And if they can't find that purpose, then it's very, very difficult to engage them in an effective manner. We have a very successful team here. I'm going to talk about one team in specific, but it's our bartending team, and it's our mixology team, and it's led by literally all millennials. And you should see how successful they are, but they will have one purpose for this hotel, and it's got nothing to do with us, which is the best part about it. They want to train the next generation of mixologists, and they've been entering competitions and they have been winning, and that is their passion, and that is exactly what they do. You put them in an event and they will shine. But the minute you ask them to be a waiter and take orders, and that's where their objectivity goes down. So I really do believe that when you're trying to engage with millennials, it has to be done from a point of purpose. What are you passionate about? And where are we going to get the most out of you in any department? But I agree with that. It is very difficult. I know my managers before me wanted to kill me half the time just because of the way I worked. And not even that, because I'm a millennial manager, sometimes the teams who, especially my colleagues who are older than me, it's like, Arja, how do you think? Like, we don't think like this, we don't act like this. But also that's a great dynamic to have, because you're getting the best out of everybody in the team. So I do get it. I agree and I disagree in certain points. But I really do think it's how do you find the purpose and how do you really engage the millennials who are on your team? Because the funny part is we're getting a brand new who are not millennials, and the people entering the workforce is now the next generation after millennials, and they're going to be even more difficult to deal with. I mean, technology is every part of their life. If they're away from their phones for like 30 minutes, you see some sort of God, I've lost the word of what I'm looking for, but like separation anxiety, basically. And that's kind of what we're going to be dealing with the next generation. So millennials is only the start of this fight that we're going to have, bridging three different generations who are joining the workforce now.
All right. Thank you for that. I think it's very important, whether we're millennials or not, that we try and engage people with a purpose of why they're doing things. And hopefully with that, we're able to get more engagement from the people. Now, for the listeners on the call, I can see that we're about to run out of time. So please allow me to ask two questions, which I can see coming in from the group. There's a question for you, Lucy, and there's a question for you, Mark. If I could just read them, and then I would have the two of you just respond to the questions. So the first question is, have the hospitality and tourism, this is for you, Lucy, Have the hospitality and tourism stakeholders included a mentorship program for their teams? Then the next question, which will be for Mark shortly after Lucy responds, will be, does Pesapal have programs for financial literacy, whether by seminar talks or structured classes, to create better awareness for digital financial utilities? All right, so let's start with Lucy.
Well, that's a very broad question, whether the stakeholders, whether they have come up with mentorship program for their teams, because who are the stakeholders? That's us. So if I start from that area, we are all part of Kenya Association of Women in Tourism. We are stakeholders in hospitality. We do have a mentorship program. And when you look across the other stakeholders, the people that we're actually going to train our stakeholders, that is the institutions, they also have these mentorship programs. In fact, the conversations are more now. And I remember the question that you asked Mark. You asked Mark a question. Those clients who were not picking up your calls before, maybe now they're reaching out to you. And as the chair of this particular committee, I am finding that I am receiving calls now and saying, are you guys there? Can you come and use this opportunity online? So those are already two stakeholders. So we're looking at associations and we're looking at institutions. And maybe Anne and Arja can just back me up on this. What is happening now with the online space, the trends that I talked about and the opportunities that are coming from, is that the hotels, the tour operators, the airlines are reaching out to thought leaders to come in and join their end of month meeting or their end of week meeting. You're introducing this kind of aspect into your meetings virtually, where someone like Lucy comes in and speaks about something. This is the time of performance appraisal. So perhaps I would come in and talk about what it means for personal development. So those are the three that come top of the mind right now, that already the hoteliers, the tour operators, the institutions, the associations, they do have these mentorship programs and these training programs. I do hope I've managed to answer that question, Wanjeri. The answer is yes. And you need to unmute.
Oh my.
You did, Lucy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so I can proceed to answer. I think in itself, even this session that we are having, and just to highlight, the Pesapal Caffè sessions are built around a series of conversations we need to have, and so we'll be running this series over time. Sometimes it will be, conversations, with industry players, with providers, and other people, just to hear from each other what our experiences have been and learn from each other. And talk about different things around the industry. Other series will be very specific conversations on how can a business get online. If I'm running a restaurant, how do I run my own channels directly so that customers can order from me, and handle that whole process of ordering and logistics. So we'll keep the Pesapal Caffè sessions going, and every time we learn, and everything that we are building together in these conversations, we put in handbooks that we share on our website, so that as many people as possible can learn from the experiences we have had, be able to pick very practical things that they can do for their business in order to drive growth. So we're already doing it, and we look forward to just working with different people, different stakeholders, to build worthwhile conversations and content that can help businesses grow. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Mark. I must say, at Nashipai, we have been very lucky to have worked with Pesapal. Because of you, we continued receiving some of our online payments even during this season. So it was great that we had already set up systems long before that people were comfortable with.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
All right. I don't know if any of the speakers have any last comments, any closing words, if anybody has, before I close the session.
I think for me, I can highlight one thing that I've had very loudly in the conversations that we've had here around technology, that it's not just having technology is not enough. There is an instant nature in which customers now want to be addressed, and I think that's one thing I'm taking away, is that customers want a response immediately. Customers want their quote to come to them immediately. So technology such as email that used to work, with the back and forth, is no longer enough. So being able to adopt, technologies that will drive instant conversations, having those live chats on the websites, enabling WhatsApp for businesses is really a contributing factor to sales, and of course plugging in then payments in all those channels to make sure that a customer who's ready to pay then is goes ahead to do that. I think for me that's one of the brightest highlights I've had for this session.
Thank you, Mark. Anne, any closing remarks?
I think for us, what we need to know, thanks Pesapal, thanks Wanjeri for putting this together. We have a responsibility to build an hospitality generation for tomorrow. And like Aja said, we have the millennials, we have the other generation coming. I think we need to embrace the dynamism and keep talking. How do we bring the best out of the millennials and the generation coming in, so we have a steady, vibrant, the warmth of the Kenyan people. We have an industry that is alive and getting to the next level as we embrace technology in the best way we know how, and looking at the brighter side of things and the value that it's adding daily to our operations.
Thank you, Anne. Aja, any closing remarks?
Yes. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, Wanjeri. Thanks for Pesapal for hosting this. This has been absolutely incredible. I think my closing remarks for this would be, listen to your consumers and don't be afraid to try. It may look like we have lots of successful programs going on, but I promise you there's 1,000 failures that ride side by side with every success.
Yes.
So we're always scared of failure. Don't be scared of failing, because even if you do one success in every failure, it was worth it.
And last but not least, Lucy, our clarity coach.
Thank you so much, Wanjeri. This was an amazing session made available by Pesapal. Mark, you and your team, amazing opportunities. And yes, I've already answered the poll. I am looking forward to the next one. Definitely. Mine is about self-awareness. This has come to the fore during these 18 months. Many of us found out that we do not know ourselves. We don't know what we want in life. In fact, we were just following the crowd. Like somebody was giving the example yesterday, we were the wildebeest and just following the wildebeest, and we are not the lion who has decided they're going in for the kill. So who are you? And once you know who you are and you tell the world who you are, this is how people will react to you. So identify your passion. Once you have done that, go ahead and impact the world with your passion. This way you come from a place of confidence, and no matter what kind of pandemic comes along, you will have the resilience that Anne is talking about. You will be able to jump right back up and be able to repurpose and adapt and be a trend setter. Thank you so much.
All right. Oh my, what a lovely session. Thank you to all the speakers. That was a great session. I think for me, the great learning today is that I will not ever judge anybody else who has been managing and doing Zoom, webinars before. The mute and unmute is clearly a thing. That's been the greatest learning. But thank you very much, all the speakers on the call today. I think if I could just bring some of the highlights from the conversations is that, A, the hospitality industry is opening up. It's a thing. Someone was once telling me after the last big pandemic in was it 1918 of the Spanish flu, after that Great Depression season came the Roaring 20s. So I think a boom is coming, people. I think if just judging from what the people have been saying around this call is that people have spent time thinking about it, and hopefully people are going to be more prepared for the next season. If there's a hospitality person on the call, some of the experts on the call, I think some of the things that people are just saying is that guest experiences are changing. people are expecting more. People do not want to see the same old, same old. If they had an experience last year or before COVID, they don't want that same experience now. So please think differently. Think a little differently in offering experiences. To the people who are looking for travel experiences, I think Kenya has a lot to offer. If you're listening in from out of the country, come back home. There's great, exciting things that the industry is offering right now. In terms of self-awareness and people who are managing teams and leading teams, don't go about this alone. Look for someone to hold your hand, join certain professional groups to be with you, so that you can all be you can strengthen your journey as a leader. And last but not least is that we're in this season that we cannot escape technology, people. If you're those people who still have a Mulika Mwizi phone, please. It's time to be seeking something different this Christmas. You need to just step up. People want to be talking to you throughout. They want to be speaking to you on different channels. They want to be speaking to you on different platforms. So by all means, I think technology is just one of the things that we cannot ignore. And we should be open to offering experiences to people, digital experiences. Even as much as your business is a hotel, for example, or a travel agency, you can offer digital experiences. I must give a shout out, I think, to Magical Kenya, who are giving us some of the digital safaris during this season. I think those are just some of the experiences that we're going to see coming through. So clearly, I think we all need to embrace technology in the way we work, in the way we are dealing with our customers, and also the way we are dealing with our staff. So everybody who logged onto the call, asante sana for logging in. It has been a very lovely 1 hour and 15 minutes. Thank you very much for logging in. All right, and there's one more video coming in from our host today, who is Pesapal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it.